Deep in the Iraqi desert, investigators unearth an ancient city like no other, Nippur. 5,000 years ago, this is the center of worship for 500,000 people across Mesopotamia. We digitally reconstruct a lost world hidden by the desert. We rebuild a spectacular ziggurat, uncover a temple devoted to a goddess of love, and evidence of a mysterious fortress. To unearth the surprising secrets of this, the most sacred city in Mesopotamia. Nippur, Iraq, 100 miles southeast of Baghdad. Ruins tower above the hot desert landscape. Nippur is one of the richest archaeological sites on Earth. It lies in the center of a war-torn country. Decades of conflict have prevented experts from fully exploring its story. Until now. He heads to the heart of the ruins, this towering mound.
We test the facade of the ziggurat, and we found many evidences date back to 4,000 years ago.
Abbas finds pieces of ancient pottery here that date to the early 3rd millennium BC, making Nippur one of the oldest cities in the world. But a city without a palace means that no one rules from Nippur. No king sits on a throne here. So who builds this city?
Urdinger Nammu, Lugal Urumki. It's talking about the king Ur-Nammu, the founder of Ur-3 dynasty, king of the land, king of Sumer and Akkad, king of Ur. The meaning is very clear. Ur-Nammu.
King Ur-Nammu is the ruler of this part of Mesopotamia in around 2100 BC. He is one of the greatest kings of the ancient Sumerians. Over 4,000 years ago, many rival kings fight for control of Mesopotamia. Around 2100 BC, Ur-Nammu finally unites Ur, Babylon, Akkad, and Sumeria, and founds the 3rd dynasty of the Sumerian Empire. He creates the oldest known legal system, the Code of Ur-Nammu. 57 laws that cover sorcery to murder. And he undertakes vast projects, building new roads, canals, and ziggurats across his empire. One of his greatest achievements is the mighty Ziggurat of Ur, a 100-foot-high stacked superstructure to rival the pyramids of Egypt, an astonishing monument that dominates his capital city, Ur. King Ur-Nammu also transforms Nippur with the construction of its own huge ziggurat and monumental city walls. Why does he lavish such resources on a city that is not his ruling base? Clues could lie in a tiny statue hidden in the base of the ziggurat.
King Ur-Nammu want to give an impression to the god Enlil. He's a servant of him.
Enlil is a mighty and powerful god. The king orders the construction of the great ziggurat as a supreme act of devotion and worship. Ur-Nammu builds his temple complex from thousands of mud bricks. 40-foot-high walls surround temples and shrines. A mountain house for the gods. Here, the king builds a temple, a huge ziggurat. At the top, he adds a shrine close to the heavens. This is where the king comes to worship the most important god in the Sumerian pantheon, Enlil, the god of creation. Ancient kings often portray themselves as close to powerful gods. But Nippur is 100 miles from the king's palace at Ur. Why does King Ur-Nammu build a temple to the all-powerful god Enlil in the distant city of Nippur? The answer could lie buried in the desert landscape. 4,000 years ago, the city of Nippur plays a unique role in Mesopotamia. It is the perfect place to establish the cult of Enlil and build a spectacular ziggurat. Nippur is the only city where Enlil is worshipped, confirming the city's place as the religious capital of ancient Mesopotamia. Pilgrims of Enlil's cult flock here in their thousands. Nippur is sacred to every Mesopotamian. And throughout history, there is no record of Nippur ever being destroyed by conquerors. Unlike great Mesopotamian sites like Babylon, Lagash, and Ur, this desolated ruin is one of the only ancient cities never to be destroyed. After Ur-Nammu's death and the demise of his dynasty, Mesopotamian rulers continued to worship at Nippur.
Ancient texts say that Sumerian kings don't inherit the thrones. They must seek the approval of the deities.
In return for Enlil's divine blessing, kings of states like Sumer, Ur, and Akkad lavish gifts of land, jewelry, gold, and slaves on Nippur. The city's status and power is derived from Enlil, the creation god, the kingmaker. In the west of the city, archaeologists unearth the walls of a temple that dates to around 3000 BC, 1,000 years before the Great Ziggurat. Buried in the corner of a sanctuary, they find statues. Many of them are women. In another room, a calcite bowl to hold offerings bears the name of this temple's deity, the goddess Ishtar. Who is Ishtar? And can she shed light on life in ancient Nippur? In the ancient myth, Ishtar feasts with her father Enki, the god of wisdom. Enki gets drunk and reveals to Ishtar a set of secret divine rules for civilization that the Sumerians call Mies. When a sober Enki realizes his mistake, he sends his giants to capture Ishtar. Ishtar flees on her boat of heaven to deliver the Mies to the people, spreading wisdom from the gods to humanity. Ishtar is loved and worshipped throughout Mesopotamia. And Ali believes a remarkable discovery in Nippur shows that Ishtar's standing amongst the gods reflects a surprising feature of Sumerian society.
تمثال من مدينة نفر يمثل شخصين في وضعية الجلوس، رجل وامرأة. الرجل يضع يده على يد زوجته واليد الأخرى على كتفها. ربما يمثل أقدم علاقة زوجية أو لحبيبين من العصر السومري القديم.
The sculpture seems to present the couple as equals. Ali thinks that with equality among male and female gods comes equality amongst Sumerian men and women.
يعني شاغلنا عدة مناصب في القصر والمعبد كأميرات وكاهنات وكاتبات وحتى مغنيات وموسيقيات.
Sumerian women can also own property, become scribes, physicians, and even act as judges. By 1750 BC, it is a ghost town. But this sacred city is not abandoned forever. At the base of the ziggurat, excavators discover more recent stamped bricks. They reveal the name of a great Assyrian king, Ashurbanipal.
For a long time before Ashurbanipal came along, Nippur had been neglected and its temple had fallen into ruins. He's looking back to the period when Nippur was at the height of its glory, when Nippur was the center of the world almost. And he's trying to say, Nippur, you can be like this again.
Ashurbanipal stamps his message onto thousands of bricks and rebuilds the temple complex as it was over a millennium before. Ashurbanipal's empire stretches from Egypt to the Persian Gulf. But some factions rise up against him, including one led by his own brother in Babylon. Ashurbanipal shows his ruthlessness by cutting off his enemies' heads and displaying them in his garden. He's a cruel king, but also a religious scholar, and builds the world's first library of sacred texts in Nineveh. Ashurbanipal restores Nippur's temples to win the support of the gods and the people, a clever ploy to suppress uprisings. By rebuilding Nippur, Ashurbanipal reignites the god Enlil's role as kingmaker, cleverly strengthening his position as the ruler Enlil has chosen. Nippur returns to its status as the preeminent place of cult worship in Mesopotamia, an untouchable neutral territory, a place respected by all.
Nippur was almost like an ancient equivalent of the Vatican City today. No matter where political power was held, Nippur was where religious power was held.
Despite over 1,000 years separating the reigns of Ur-Nammu and Ashurbanipal, the city of Nippur remains crucial to the fortunes of Mesopotamian rulers. For 2,000 years, the city of Nippur flourishes as the center of cult worship in ancient Mesopotamia. Pilgrims flock to its over 100 temples, and the city grows along the riverbanks into a thriving center of trade. Towering over it all is the huge ziggurat, the Temple of Enlil.
Nippur looked like a very high, spectacular city.
But after the grandeur of the Sumerian and Assyrian periods, some strange modifications to the ziggurat reveal that Nippur is taken over by yet another civilization. They encase the ziggurat in brick and turn it into a cross-shaped monument that resembles a watchtower. Around it, they build living quarters for a garrison, all enclosed by strong brick walls with circular buttresses, and an outer fortification wall up to 30 feet thick. Why is the ziggurat transformed into an impenetrable fortress? Excavators in the early 1900s dig up so much of the earth around the ziggurat that much of the evidence is lost.
This column, it represents the most important part in this area.
Abbas al-Husseini thinks this last remaining unexcavated column of earth holds vital clues in its untouched layers. They carbon date organic material in the mud bricks. It reveals the fort is built in the 1st century AD. The date, coupled with the design of the fortification, identifies it as Parthian, a warlike people from what is now Iran. But there's a mystery. The mud bricks are filled with older shards of pottery. Why is there older Sumerian pottery set into the newer Parthian mud bricks? The Parthians, at war with the Roman Empire, transformed Nippur into a garrison town and the ziggurat into a fort, building it from pottery-reinforced bricks for extra strength. The Parthians fall to the Romans by the end of the 2nd century AD. But excavations show that Nippur isn't destroyed by the Roman conquest. It's still inhabited as late as the 9th century AD, but only in the city's outskirts. the religious center is largely abandoned. This region is no longer devoted to the god Enlil. Nippur doesn't end in violence. It simply fades away. This city rises from the sands. The spiritual center of Mesopotamia, Nippur draws people of different cultures and different beliefs. And at its heart, the Great Ziggurat, first built to honor the Sumerian god of creation. Nippur is reborn with each new civilization, surviving as neighboring cities are destroyed, to last for 6,000 years.